I guess, internet, interweb, it's all kind of the same. How are you doing this Friday? I know it's Friday here and possibly Saturday in the eastern part of the world. And I bet like a lot of people are not even out from their work on the west side of US, I guess. But I'm excited to be here. Every Friday is exciting for sure, but today is extra exciting because I just got my foster cat home, and he just settling in, and he's super sweet. I mean, this is one of the sweetest cat I ever fostered. I mean, the past two cats which I had were very cute, very sweet at all as well, but they took their own time to kind of ease into it. I remember the second cat I fostered. She was scared. I mean, she was also a baby, maybe like 6 to 7 months old. So she was scared for like a day or two before she can like calm herself down and settle in. But this guy here, he is extra special. I don't see him here yet. I mean, I kept him in the bathroom because that's where I want him to feel comfortable and make like a home base, so to speak. But I also left the door open so that he can come back out and explore if he wants to. I mean, he's still kind of like just um, I guess like settling in his cage or in the bathroom, but I'm sure he gonna shine and he will come out here and play more and engage more with the things in the next couple days or something. And it's fascinating to see how different cats, as well as different people in general, but different cats have different personalities. And this dude here, he didn't even meow once. He was like calm all the time. And whenever I kind of like just sit or I'm just standing in front of him, he just comes out and like just rub himself around my hands and legs. So he likes to be being pet, and that that is wonderful. I hope like he'll find a foster home pretty soon. The last cat I had, she found a foster. She found. Did I said foster home? I meant like permanent home. I hope that someone adopt him pretty soon. The last cat I had, she got adopted within like 3 weeks or something. The first cat I had, she was with me for a while, maybe like 3 months or something, and we had really good time. I mean, I can still remember some of the things she used to do, like all the crazy spots she kind of hid herself in. Uh, yeah, it's amazing to have a pet. To be honest, I'm hoping that I can give all the love and all the care I could to him, so that when he finds or when he goes to his permanent home, he can ease into the new environment smoothly rather than being scared and whatnot, which is what most of the stray pets um, end up doing, because they were born in the streets and they don't care, or rather they don't trust the environment, the people, and that kind of also says a lot about people who were born into unfriendly circumstances. The people who were born into, say, low income families, where the parents could not give all the focus and attention to them because they have to go out and earn and whatnot, as well as children who are abandoned and who are orphanaged at very young age. The trauma they have to go through, the amount of distrust they develop for the world is monumental. So, to some degree, I'm hoping that at least when it comes down to this cat, I could make him feel at home and make him feel ease. So when he goes to his permanent home, it would be piece of cake for him. Well, that being said, we'll dive into today's topic, which is no topic, it's just randomness. We're gonna go through random article on Wikipedia and try to figure out how it connects to various different topics which pique my interest. And before I do that, I want to quickly acknowledge this sad news. I mean, it's sad because former Japanese PM Shinzo Abe was assassinated while giving a speech in Nara. And it's sad because someone took his life. I mean, I understand that everyone will die at some point, and if he would have died because of natural causes or, some sort of different reason, it would have been not as sad as it is knowing that someone assassinated him. I honestly don't remember most of the policies and laws passed during his regime, but regardless, I do feel that he was a big force of uh, nature in Japanese politics, because I think he was the longest serving prime minister in the history of Japan. So you can gauge based on that. But also the other news is Boris Johnson announces his intention to resign as PM of the UK. I thought he did resign yesterday, but maybe there are more processes in place. Anyhow, let's dive into the randomness and check out which article we're gonna stumble on. And look like we're gonna learn about Andrea Ladany, who was born on 8th April 1969 and is a Hungarian gymnast. She competed in 6 events at the 1988 Summer Olympics. Wow. She competed in 6 events? Let's see a bit of history of 1988 Summer. Why am I saying Summer Olympics? At the 1988 Summer Olympics, 2 different gymnastics disciplines were contested: artistic gymnastics and rhythmic gymnastics. The artistic gymnastics events were held at the Olympic Gymnastics Hall in Seoul from September 18th through 25th. The rhythmic gymnastics events were held at the same venue from September 28th through 30th. For the first time in Olympic competition, each routine in women's artistic gymnastics events was judged by 6 judges, with the final score composed of the average of the judges' score after the highest and lowest marks were dropped. Men's routines continued to be judged by 4 judges as at previous Olympics. Now that's interesting. So women's were judged by 6 judges and the highest and lowest were dropped, whereas men's routine were judged by 4. I don't know the reason behind that, but anyhow, the gymnastics competition at the 1988 Summer Olympics was carried out in 3 stages. Competition 1, the team competition or qualification round, in which all gymnasts, including those who were not part of a team, performed both compulsory and optional exercises. The top 5 scores per team on each exercise determined the final score of the team. The 36 highest scoring gymnasts in the all-around qualified to the individual all-around competition. The 8 highest scoring gymnasts on each apparatus qualified to the final for that apparatus. Competition 2, the individual all-around competition, in which those who qualified from competition 1 performed exercises on each apparatus. The final score of each gymnast was composed of half the points earned by that gymnast during competition 1 and all of the points earned by him or her in competition 2. And then there is competition 3, the apparatus finals, in which those who qualified during competition 1 performed on an exercise on the individual apparatus on which he or she has qualified. The final score of each gymnast was composed of half the points earned by the gymnast on that particular apparatus during competition 1 and all of the points earned by him or her on that particular apparatus in competition 3. Each country was limited to 3 gymnasts in the all around final and 2 gymnasts in each apparatus final, which is kind of, I think that shouldn't be the case. I mean, why should any country be limited based on number of gymnasts? I get it, some countries are better than the other when it comes down to Olympics, but still, that feels kind of icky. Individual all rounds. So Vladimir Artemov won the gold, and then there was this Valery Lukin who won gold, silver, and Dmitry Bilozerchev who won bronze. So all 3 were from Soviet Union. Wow. And Soviet Union also won the team all around gold, whereas East Germany won the silver and Japan won the bronze. Wow. Even in women's event, Soviet Union won the gold and the bronze. Looked like at the time Soviet Union had like quite a good grip on the medal tally. See, Soviet Union had 12 gold, 5 silver, and 4 bronze. Whereas US won only 1 bronze, and I think this is only for gymnasts. But if we look at the overall Olympics, this was in North Korea. Obviously, it was in Seoul. And the 88 Seoul Olympics were the second Summer Olympic Games held in Asia and the first held in South Korea. As the host country, South Korea ranked 4th overall, winning 12 gold medals and 33 medals in the competition. 11,331 media showed the games all over the world. They were the last Olympic Games of the Cold War, as well as for the Soviet Union and the East Germany, as both ceased to exist before the next Olympic Games in '92. The Soviet Union dominated the medal count, winning 55 gold and 132 total medals. The results that got closest to that medal haul are China's 48 gold medals in 2008 and USA's 121 total medals in 2016. 132 total medals, that's a lot. I'm sure over the years US have done like really well in Olympics. And I kind of wonder who has the highest medal tallies up to this point, and also who has the maximum total medals. So East Germany was 1 or 2, which isn't bad. It's like still a difference of 30 medals, but still. And now East Germany is probably Austria. US were not that back behind. It's 94. And I'm sure if I look at the India tally, it would be probably 0 because, yeah. I'm kind of curious about the East Germany. Athletics. from East Germany, German Democratic Republic competed at the Olympic Games for the last time as an independent nation at the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. Following Germany reunification in 1990, a single German team would compete in the 92 Summer Olympics. I kind of end up like diving into the political side of things, one way or the other. But I kind of like it that way. I mean, politics impact the real life to begin with. So I'm sure I'm promise I'm gonna go back to maybe like a sports or some other cultural page. But I'm kind of curious to learn more about German reunification. Reunification. So when was it divided? For the 1871 unification of the German Empire is the unification of Germany. So there was one unified back in 1871. Wow. Okay, let's go through this. German reunification was a process in 1990 by which the German Democratic Republic became part of the Federal Republic of Germany to form the reunited country of Germany. The end of the unification process is officially referred to as German Unity, celebrated each year on 3rd October as German Unity Day. East and West Berlin were reunited into a single city and again became the capital of United Germany. The East German government started to falter in May 1989 when the removal of Hungary's border fence with Austria opened a hole in the Iron Curtain. The border was still closely guarded, but the pan European picnic and the indecisive reaction of the rulers of the Eastern Bloc set in motion an irreversible peaceful movement. It allowed an exodus of thousands of East Germans fleeing to West Germany via Hungary. The peaceful revolution, a series of protests by East Germans, led to the GDR's first free elections on 18th March 1990 and to the negotiations between the GDR and FRG that culminated in a unification treaty. Other negotiations between the GDR and FRG and the four occupying powers produced the so-called 2 plus 4 treaty, which means treaty on the final settlement with respect to Germany, granting full sovereignty to a unified German state, whose two parts were previously bound by a number of limitations stemming from their post-World War II status as occupied regions. The West German government of Konrad Adenauer rejected proposals of the 1952 Stalin Note to reunify under terms of neutrality. The government instead pursued a policy of West German rearmament, which, while ending the process of denazification and declaring an amnesty, this led to the 1952 establishment of the Western European Union and West Germany joined NATO in 1955. Let's see the naming. For political and diplomatic reasons, West German politics carefully avoided the term reunification during the run-up to what Germans frequently refer to as Die Wende, roughly the turning point. The 1990 treaty defines the official terms as Deutsche Einheit, German unity. This is commonly used in Germany, and it is this term that then Vice Chancellor Hans Dietrich Gensricher used in front of international journalists to correct them when they asked him about reunification in 1990. So it's not reunification, it's German unity. I mean, come on, what difference does it make, I guess? After 1990, the term Die Wende became more common. The term generally refers to the events, mostly in Eastern Europe, that led up to the actual reunification in its usual context. This term loosely translates to the turning point, without any further meaning. When referring to the events surrounding reunification, however, it carries the cultural connotation of the time and the events in the GDR that brought about this turnaround in German history. However, anti-communist activists from Eastern Germany rejected the term Wende, as it has been introduced by the Socialist Unity Party of Germany's Secretary General Egon Krenz. Wow, so there are different flags of German states. All German states have a Landesflag, which may be used by anyone. Some states have another variant, others showing the state coat of arms, called the Density Densit flag, normally for use by official government offices only. Precursor to reunification. So, Germany was officially divided into four occupation zones as a result of a Potsdam Agreement on 1st August 1945 under the four military governments of the US, the UK, France, and the Soviet Union. The capital city of Berlin was similarly divided into the four sectors. Between 1947 and 1949, the three zones of the Western Allies were merged, forming the Federal Republic of Germany and West Berlin. Aligned with capitalist Europe, which later developed into the European Community. France also controlled German Saarland from 1946 to 1956. The Soviet zone became the German Democratic Republic with its capital in East Berlin, a part of the Communist Soviet bloc. The FRG was a member of the Western Military Alliance, NATO. The GDR was a member of the Warsaw Pact. Germans lived under such imposed divisions throughout the ensuing Cold War. Into the 1980s, the Soviet Union experienced a period of economic and political stagnation and correspondingly decreased intervention in Eastern Bloc politics. In 1987, US President Ronald Reagan gave a speech at the Brandenburg Gate challenging Soviet General Secretary Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down this wall, which divided Berlin. The wall had stood as an icon for the political and economic divisions between East and the West, a division that Churchill had referred to as the Iron Curtain. Gorbachev announced in 1988 that the Soviet Union would abandon the Brezhnev Doctrine and allow the Eastern Bloc countries to freely determine their own internal affairs. In early 1989, under a new era of Soviet policies of glasnost and perestroika, and taken further by Gorbachev, the Solidarity movement took hold in Poland. Further inspired by other images of brave defiance, a wave of revolution swept throughout the Eastern Bloc that year. In May 1989, Hungary removed their border fence. However, the dismantling of the old Hungarian border facilities did not open the borders, nor were the previous strict controls removed, and the isolation by the Iron Curtain was still intact over its entire length. The opening of a border gate between Austria and Hungary at the Pan-European Picnic on 19th August 1989 then set in motion a peaceful chain reaction, at the end of which there was no longer a GDR and the Eastern Bloc had disintegrated. Extensive advertising for the planned picnic was made by posters and flyers among the GDR holidaymakers in Hungary. The Austrian branch of the Pan-European Union, which was then headed by Karl von Habsburg, distributed thousands of brochures inviting them to picnic near the border at Sofron. It was the largest escape movement from East Germany since the Berlin Wall was built in 1961. After the picnic, which was based on an idea by Karl's father, Otto von Habsburg, to test the reaction of the USSR and Mikhail Gorbachev to an opening of the border, tens of thousands of media informed East Germans set off for Hungary. Oops. Where were we? The media reaction of Erin Honecker in the Daily Mirror of 19 August 1989 showed the public in East and West that there had been a loss of power by the Eastern European communist rulers in their own sphere of power, and that they were no longer the designers of what was happening. Habsburg distributed leaflets far into Poland on which the East German holidaymakers were invited to a picnic. When they came to the picnic, they were given gifts, food, and Deutschemark, and then they were persuaded to come to the West. In particular, it was examined by Habsburg and the Hungarian Minister of State, Imre Poszky, whether Moscow would give the Soviet troops stationed in Germany the command to intervene. But with the mass exodus at the pan European picnic, the subsequent hesitant behavior of the Socialist Unity Party of East Germany, and the non intervention of the Soviet Union broke the dams. Thus, the bracket of the Eastern Bloc was broken. Tens of thousands of the media informed East Germans now made their way to Hungary, which was no longer ready to keep its border completely closed or to oblige its border troops to use force of arms. By the end of September 1989, more than 30,000 East Germans have escaped to the West before the GDR denied travel to Hungary, leaving Czechoslovakia as the only neighboring state to which East Germany could escape. Even then, many people within and without Germany still believed that real reunification would never happen in the foreseeable future. The turning point in Germany, called Die Wende, was marked by the peaceful revolution leading to the removal of the Berlin Wall, with East and West Germany subsequently entering into negotiations towards eliminating the division that had been imposed upon Germans more than 4 decades earlier. Wow, imagine 40 years of imposed division, and then you gotta, at the end of, you know, I don't know, all the factors which build to that moment where people end up tearing down that wall, which was sort of a symbol of division between East and West, but at the same time was keeping East and West separated because of all the conflicts. Constitutional mergers, of course, they have to merge the constitutional and then international affair, Day of German Unity. That's a German car, I guess. Wow, over a period of 20 years, which would be from 1990 till 2010, German reunification has cost 2 trillion euros. Wow. Wow. That is a huge amount. 2 trillion euros, or an average of 100 billion euros a year. So we have to ask ourselves, aren't we willing to pay a tenth of that over several years for Europe's unity? Who said that? Piers Steenberg. Let's see the life and views after the reunification. So, according to a 2019 survey conducted by Pew Research Center, approximately 90% of Germans living in both the West and East, believed that reunification was good for Germany, with slightly more in East than West Germany supporting it. Around 83% of East Germans approve of and 13% disapprove of Eastern Germany's transition to a market economy, with the rest saying they weren't sure. Life satisfaction in both the East and West has subsequently increased since 91, with 15% of the East Germans placing their life satisfaction somewhere between 7 to 10 on a 0 to 10 scale in 91, changing to 59% in 2019. For West Germans, this change over the same time period was from 52 to 64%. Still a significant, right? So life satisfaction in both the East and West have risen. 15% of East German placing their life satisfaction somewhere between 7 to 10 on a 0 to 10 scale in 91, changing to 59% in 2019. For West Germans, this change went from 52 to 64. Additionally, the fall of the Berlin Wall was useful in generating wealth at the household level in both the East and the West. Those who lived in West Germany and had social ties to the East experienced a 6% average increase in their wealth in the 6 year following the fall of the wall, which more than doubled that of households who didn't possess the same connections. Entrepreneurs who worked in areas with strong social ties to the East saw their incomes increase at even more rapid rate. Incomes for this group increased at an average rate of 8.8% over the same 6 year period following reunification. Similarly, those in the East who possessed connection to the West saw their household income increase at a positive rate in each of the 6 years following reunification. Those in their regions who lacked the same ties did not see the same benefit. More broadly, commercial firms, in the same way as households and individuals, also saw profits increase in the years following reunification. Specifically, gains in the form of increased profits were the greatest for firms in the service sectors who invested in the East relative to those which did not. The reunification served to increase economic growth in the region, though rising household income and commercial profit due to the ability to utilize social connections that were previously restricted by the border. Inner reunification. So this is reenacting the VJ Day in Times Square photo at 12:01 a.m. on reunification night in Cologne, Germany. So what? Just a kiss? VJ Day in Times Square is a photograph by Alfred Eisenstedt that portrays a U.S. Navy sailor embracing and kissing a total stranger, a dental assistant, on victory over Japan Day in New York City's Times Square on August 14, 1945. Kissing a total stranger. I'm in for that. If she's hot. Okay, reunified Berlin. Urban planning issues. I'm sure there were a lot. Where do I wanna dive from here? There's a history of Germany, there is unification, there is a silent note, then transitology, which what does that mean? In political science and in international and comparative law and economics, transitology is the study of the process of change from one political regime to another, mainly from authoritarian regimes to democratic ones, rooted in conflicting and consensual varieties of economic liberalism. Wait, there was a Chinese unification? Chinese unification, also known as the cross-strait unification or Chinese reunification, is a potential unification of treaties currently controlled or claimed by the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China Taiwan under one political entity. What about Korean reunification? Korean reunification is the potential reunification of North and South Korea into a single Korean sovereign state. The process towards reunification was started by the June 15th North South Joint Declaration in June 2000 and was reaffirmed by the Panmunjom Declaration for Peace. It's kind of hard to imagine both North and South Korea unified. They are so distinct. I mean, not just in the power structure, but also economic structures, the lifestyles, and the cultural values, and everything is so distinct. I mean, it would be great if they reunify, but I'm not counting on it. Yemeni unification took Yemeni unification took place on May 22nd, 1990, when the area of the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen was united with the Yemen Arab Republic, forming the Republic of Yemen. Whereas Vietnamese reunification is Reunification Day, Victory Day, Liberation Day, or the official name Day of Southern Liberation for National Reunification, is a public holiday in Vietnam that marks the event when North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces captured Saigon on 30th April 1975. That was a whole conflict, right? Like, between the the Soviet and the U.S. About the whole communism and capitalism, and all of these isms are just nothing but just you know uh, concepts of dividing people. Cool, cool, cool. What do I wanna dive? Let's economic merger. This might be the more conflicting thing because there is like a communism and the capitalism side of it, right? So let's check it out. Discussions immediately began on an emergency merger on the German economies. On 18th May 1990, the two German states signed a treaty agreeing on monetary, economic, and social union. This treaty is called Vertrag über die Schaffung inner Warungs Wirtschafts- und Sozialunion zwischen der deutschen Demokratischen Republik und der Bundesrepublik Deutschland, which just means treaty establishing a monetary, economic, and social union between the German Democratic Republic and the Federal Republic of Germany. It came into force on 1st July 1990 with the West German Deutsche Mark replacing the East German Mark as the official currency of East Germany. The Deutsche Mark had a very high reputation among the East Germans and was considered stable, while the GDR transferred its financial policy sovereignty to West Germany. The West started granting subsidies for the GDR budget and social security system. At the same time, many West German laws came into force in the GDR. This created a suitable framework for a political union by diminishing the huge gap between the two existing political, social, and economic structure. So that's the German money, right? The Deutsche Mark. Deutsche Mark. Deutsche Mark. abbreviated as DM, was the official currency of West Germany from 1948 until 1990, and later the Unified Germany from 1990 until the adoption of the euro in 2000. In English, it was typically called the Deutsche Mark. One uh, Deutsche Mark was divided into 100 Pfennings. It was first issued under Allied occupation in 1948 to replace the Reichsmark and served as the Federal Republic of Germany's official currency from its founding the following year. On 31st December 1988, the Council of the European Union fixed the irrevocable exchange rate effective 1st January 1999 for German mark to euros as DM 1.95583 equivalent to 1 euro. In 1999, the Deutsche Mark was replaced by the euro. Its coins and banknotes remained in circulation, defined in terms of euros, until the introduction of euro notes and coins on 1st January 2002. The Deutsche Mark ceased to be a ledger tender immediately upon the introduction of the euro. In contrast to the other Eurozone nation, where the euro and legacy currency circulated side by side for up to 2 months, mark coins and banknotes continued to be accepted as valid form of payment in Germany until 28 February 2002. Wow, so they had 5, they had 10, they had 20, 50, 100, 200, 500, 1000. Okay. So there were quite a few variants: 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and 200. Whereas 500, and there were also 500 and 1000, which were rarely used. This goes way back. So before 1871, a mark has been the currency of Germany since its original unification in 1871. Before that time, the different German states issued a variety of different currencies, the most common being the North German Thaler and the South German Gulden. By 1857, though, both currencies have been linked to the Vereinsthaler, a silver coin containing 16 2/3 grams of pure silver. Although the German gold mark was based on gold rather than silver at 2.79 marks per gram of fine gold, a fixed exchange rate between the Vereinsthaler and the mark of 3 marks equal to 1 Vereinsthaler was used for the conversion. From 1873 up until 1948. The first mark, known as the gold mark, was introduced in 1873. With the outbreak of World War I, the mark was taken off the gold standard. The currency thus became known as the paper mark, especially as high inflation, then hyperinflation occurred, and the currency became exclusively made up of paper money. The paper mark was replaced by the Rentenmark from November 1923 and the Reichsmark in 1924. Early military occupation following World War II. I'm kind of interested in learning more, but at the same time, I know I have to go. Like it's been what, 44 minutes since I've been streaming this, and I gotta wrap this up soon. But these are the denomination 1 PF. What is that PF again? Peffings or penny. Fenning. 1 PF, 2 PF, 5, 10, 50, and 1 DM. And 2 DM, 5 DM. Colloquial expressions. Yeah, these are banknotes. Wow. To a certain degree, I am fascinated by, um, the various currencies. Obviously, at this point in time, we are using um, mostly digital currencies of some sort, but even the physical currency has a fascinating history. And as you can see, some of this goes back over 200 years. Yeah, like different descriptions. See, one of the thing I don't like about Indian currency is that all of the currencies are have the face of Mahatma Gandhi, which, I mean, sure, he get to be on at least one, but there are like so many different figures which should have their own space on the Indian currency, and I don't know why. I think I know why, because in the currency in India it's complicated. There are so many people, and a lot of people are already using different notes and whatnot. So it would be painful to kind of circulate the currency with different face, special and to kind of make people familiar with the newer faces and whatnot. But at the same time, I think that should have been done long time back. That there are so many freedom fighters and so many um, amazing leaders who kind of shaped the um, national and the international discourse of India, and they deserve to be on the currency. But maybe it's too late now, because I feel like in the near future we all be moving towards a digital currency, and how that digital currency would look like, and um, shape like. I mean, shape like obviously mean virtually, and also so is a look wise. But there are different digital currencies even now. If you're talking about the cryptocurrencies, there are countless cryptocurrencies at the moment, but also different digital currencies, meaning different like points, you know, points different companies offer to a certain degree. Even those are digital currencies, right? But other than that, the regular currency in a digital format, that's just boring. I mean, even though I won't mind extra zeros adding into my overall savings, but it's still kind of boring. There is no physical attribute to any of that digital digits. But look at these notes. The $5 bill in the front have portrait of Venetian woman by Albrecht Dürer. Wow, this goes back to 1505. Wow. And why do they have that? Who knows? And it was withdrawn in 1995. And the reverse says a branch with oak leaves and acorns symbolizes German nature. What about the $10 or 10 DM note? It has Beardless Young Man by Lucas Cranachat the Elder. Again, goes back to 1500. That's a long time back. And then the training ship Gotch Fock, built in 1958. Okay. It symbolizes German cosmopolitanism. So it was circulated from 63 till 95. And the 20 DM has the portrait of Elsbeth Tuscher, knee push by Alfred Dürer. So this seems to be like in 1500s too. Wow. And the reverse side have a violin and a clarinet symbolizes the world of German music. Okay. Circulated from 1961 till 1995. And the 50 DM has a portrait of Hans Urmiller, from the portrait of Hans Urmiller and his son, um, by Barthel Behem. This goes back to 1925. And Holsteiner in Lübeck symbolizes the German civic pride. It circulated from 62 till 1995. So 100 DM has Cosmograph Sebastian Munster by Christoph Amberger. Again, goes back to 1500. And at the back, it has an eagle with stretched out wings, like federal eagle, symbolizes German state awareness. Wow, I didn't know the coat of arms of Germany displays a black eagle with a red beak, a red tongue, and red feet on a golden field, which is blazoned, or an eagle displayed sable beaked, languid, and membered gules. This is the Bundesadler, formerly known as Rheinsadler. Sadler. So even that circulated from 62 to 95. What about the 500 DM? It contains a portrait of a beardless man by Hans Müller Zuschwa. And at the back, it contains Burg Els in Rhineland Palatinate, symbolizing Germany chivalry. From circulation from 65 till 95. And finally, 1000 DM consists of portrait of Dr. Jonas Schreiering by Lucas Cranch the Elder. And the back consists of Limburg Cathedral, symbolizes Romanesque architecture in Germany. Circulated from 64 till 1995. Yeah, so that makes sense. And all of these are different. These were the older notes. And I'm going to go through this newer one and wrap this up. All right, so the 5DM, it consists of Bettina von Arnim, historical buildings of Berlin. Wait, that's the front? And the reverse have Brandenburg Gate, circulated from 92 till 2001. And the 10 DM have Carl Friedrich Gauss and historical buildings of Göttingen. He looked a little bit like some sort of scientist or something because it looked like a sine wave in the back, or mathematician. Yeah, so Johann and Carl Friedrich Gauss was a German mathematician and physicist who made significant contribution to the many fields in mathematics and science, sometimes referred to as the Princeps Mathematicorum and the greatest mathematician since antiquity. Whereas Bettina von Arnim, born Elisabeth Katharina Ludovica Magdalena Brentano, was a German writer and novelist. All right, so at the back, they have sextant. I see. For 20 DM, they have Annette von Droste Hulshoff, historical buildings of Meersburg. So, who is Annette? Baroness Anna Elisabeth Franziska Adolphine Wilhelmine Louis Maria von Droste zu Hulshoff, known as Annette von Droste Hulshoff, was a 19th century German poet, novelist, and composer of classical music. She was also the author of the Novella Die Judenbusch. And at the back, they have quill pen and a beech tree. It kind of makes sense. She's a novelist. I don't know, poet, novelist, and whatnot. So they had a beech tree. For a mathematician, they have sextant, which is some sort of instrument. And for Bettina von, who was again a writer and a novelist, I don't know why they had a gate. But It does look beautiful. It's a beautiful gate. All right, for 50 dm, we have Balthasar Neumann Historical Buildings of Würzburg. In the front, and at the back, we have partial view of the Würzburg residence. So, Johann Balthasar Neumann, usually known as Balthasar Neumann, was a German architect and military artillery engineer who developed a refined brand of Baroque architecture, fusing Austrian, Bohemian, Italian, and French elements to design some of the most impressive weapons. For 100 dm, we had Clara Schumann sharing her limelight with historical buildings of Leipzig. And at the back, we have grand piano. So let's see. Clara Josephine Schumann was a German pianist, composer, and piano teacher. Regarded as one of the most distinguished pianists of the Romantic era, she extended her influence over the course of a 61-year concert career, changing the format and repertoire of the piano recital from displays of virtuos. And for 200 dm, we have Paul Ehrlich sharing his limelight with historical buildings of Frankfurt am Main. And at the back, we got microscope. So I'm assuming Paul is a scientist. Paul Ehrlich Paul Ehrlich was a Nobel Prize-winning German physician and scientist who worked in the fields of hematology, immunology, and antimicrobial chemotherapy. Among his foremost achievements were finding a cure for syphilis in 1909 and inventing the precursor technique to gram staining. For 500 dm, we got Maria Sibylla Marian in the front, sharing her image with historical building of Nuremberg. And at the back, we have dandelion, inchworm, and butterfly. So I am guessing Maria was some sort of environmentalist. So Maria Sibylla Marian was a German boss, but German Maria Sibylla Marian was a German-born Swiss naturalist and scientific illustrator. She was one of the earliest European naturalists to observe insects directly. Marian was a descendant of the Frankfurt branch of the Swiss Marian family. For 1000 dm, we have two faces in the front. We have Wilhelm and Jacob Grimm sharing their limelight with historical buildings of Kassel. And in the back, we have the German dictionary Alte Bibliothek in Berlin. So I'm assuming these two guys were some sort of philosophers. Wilhelm Karl Grimm was a German author and anthropologist and the younger brother of Jacob Grimm of the literary duo of the brothers Grimm. Jacob Ludwig Karl Grimm, also known as Ludwig Karl, was a German author, linguist, philologist, jurist, and folklorist. He's known as the discoverer of the Grimm's Law of Linguistics, the co-author of the monumental Deutsche Wörterbuch, the author of Deutsche Mythology, and more. And we have a hologram variant for the same. Okay, so for the 50, 100, and 200 dm. Well, that was pretty valuable. Oh, now that the German government or the Germany as a country use the euros, at times I kind of wonder, what all precautions they have in mind to kind of not be dependent on the euros entirely, because that's pretty much what happened to the Greek economy, if I'm not mistaken. But at the same time, economy is so complicated. So many different variables, factors, and also some of those factors are you and me, us. We create this economy, we mess it up, we try to fix it. Anyhow, this has been great, and I'm gonna have to jump off because I have to go to different comedy shows. And don't worry, we'll be back here. We'll be back whenever I'm in mood for back. And until then, peace.